every time we catch a fish, the whole team takes a Jello shot.
Oh, I got you. Jesus Christ. That could be dangerous.
And then I guess sometimes when fishing's really slow, we'll just take a Jello shot just to like kind of break the quiet.
And how did it start out? Like, what was the origin story?
Too much alcohol.
Really? Okay.
Says if God wanted us to have fiberglass boats, he would have given us fiberglass trees.
It's for fishermen. It's not for taking the wife and the wife's friends.
I think that it's a really, really pretty bit.
And then there was a blur that went by and ended up in the cockpit, as far as if I can remember correctly.
What's up, everyone? We're back. The State of Sport Fishing Podcast. I'm Nick Carullo, captain of the Showtime, and I'm joined with Anthony Pino with Hooked Optics and captain of the Blood Money. There'll be no guests this evening. It'll be just us two. We will be speaking on the topic of building a tournament team, what it takes. With that being said, share it with a friend, and this one's going to be a good one tonight. So why don't you start us out, Anthony?
All right, man. Well, it's been something that I've been wanting to do with you since, we're both relatively young guys, and, we're kind of you put together a great team on the Showtime, and I've finally got, I think, us on the Blood Money, at least this season, had our shit together on the Blood Money, and that's been a project I've been working on for fucking 9 years. So it's finally nice to see it come good again. And I feel like sometimes it gets lost on owners and anglers and even mates and captains when it comes to having the patience to actually build a team and kind of see the whole thing come together. And I sometimes don't think that people, and I'm not one of them, but I've been able to fish on boats that are really, really successful. And so have you. And just the level of commitment it fucking takes to do it at to do it at a high level. And I think people don't always realize that it takes a commitment from pretty much everybody on the boat, owners, anglers, captains, mates, and I think that maybe we could shed some light on that. And so, what do you think? Where did the Showtime start off as? I don't know anything about the Showtime other than you guys win everything all the time. So,
well, it kind of, like you said, though, it's not something that you just put together in a couple years. And the Showtime is something that it didn't even the first year on the Showtime when we had an incredible year. The guys that are part of the Showtime are guys that have fished with me for, some of the guys have fished with me for 10 years or more.
Did you pick those guys? Did you just did they kind of happen upon you, or did you kind of figure
it's a couple like JC, for instance. Me and him we became friends 15 years ago, and we kind of just always fished together since. If he was a captain, I mated for him. And then when I was running boats, he started, mating for me, and we kind of been going with each other ever since. And like, if he hopped on a boat, I go with him. If he, vice versa. So yeah, it's kind of like, I can't even say it's like where the Showtime started, because he ran a 59 Spencer called the Hellraiser, and, me and Corzo, who's, he fishes with us on the Showtime. We were the mates on the Hellraiser. We had a great year on that boat. And when that boat fell apart, or I guess I'm going to say fell apart, but we just moved on to something else. I started running a boat called the Freebird, which was only kind of a year of tournament fishing, but I had JC, Corzo, Doug, this guy Doug that's fished with us for, I fished with Doug and JC, like I said, for 10 plus years, and we actually won the whole sailfish circuit on the Freebird that year. And
how many times have you won that thing? 3?
Yeah, 3 in the last 4 years.
That's incredible, dude. It's not an accident, that's for sure. That's insane.
Yeah, man. Sometimes I think about it. It's still pretty. It's amazing. It's just the level of competition and how many good fishermen there are. It's crazy. But
yeah, man.
But yeah, like I said, so from Freebird, that kind of, after the year we won the first year we won, which is a great year. And that was probably even a tougher year because it was made up of 4 tournaments, which now it's made up of 3. So, definitely made it a little trickier. And then that's when the Showtime started, was a year after that, which, putting together, I wouldn't say a new team because most of the guys were kind of the same guys from the Freebird, but jumping on a new boat with a new owner, and obviously people probably thinking it would be hard for us to win again. And then we won back to back that year, which was pretty amazing.
Now, how's that work with the owner? Like, you start working for him because you're not full time on that boat, right? It's just kind of a tournament thing for you.
Yeah. It's just like not full time, but just for the sailfish season, I'm with him.
I gotcha. And then he was like, let me just go get the hottest guy right now. And like, how'd that all come about?
I just reached out to him when the whole Freebird thing came to an end after that first great year. I had known him before, and I just hit him up and said, hey Joe, this is what happened. I have a team. I just need somebody to pay for it. And he was like, yeah, let's do it.
I gotcha. Does he a part of the team, or does he fish? Okay.
Yeah, he's part of the team.
I gotcha.
He works left side. We have, probably like 2 guys on the left side, 2 guys on the right side, working rods, pretty much all tournament.
I got you.
But yeah, man, it's just, building a tournament team. It takes years, and it's more than just having good fishermen. It's having chemistry, like having good guys that work together, and, being able to just feed off each other and know that, especially you, I'm sure, now, especially with the sonar, you don't have to look down in the pit and tell, your mate, like, hey, you should be doing this. That's kind of just a second nature to those guys where you're just going through the motions, and, or you trust that, everything's working the way it should be working,
Yeah. Takes time, especially. Yeah. You just got to, basically trust them and talk to people about, through the years, you figure out what works and what doesn't. And then at this point, you guys probably just are on autopilot,
Yeah. Let me ask you. So cause I know, I get this sometimes where, where I am looking down to make sure they are doing things the way, I want them doing things. Do you ever come across sometimes where you glance down and let's say you see something that you necessarily might not like, or maybe you want them to do it different to make the team better? Will you say something or call like one of those guys up to the bridge and be like, hey, like, I think you should be doing this, that, little things like that?
Yeah, I will. I try to trust the mates, or when we have a new mate that comes on the boat or whatever, I feel like it takes a little bit of time to get the pattern in when we go into a turn and how to manipulate everything kind of when we get a bite and everything like that. So it's mainly even though an angler screws up, I call the mate up there because he's like, I'm the captain of the boat and I'm in charge, but he's in charge down there. I want him to be the guy maneuvering everybody and keeping everything organized as we go into a turn and try to hook a multiple. So if I see something that isn't quite right when it comes to that aspect, I will talk to the mate. If I want the left long instead of the left long or something going, what's a good scenario? If I'm in a turn and we hook one on the long rigger on the right long, and I turn to the right, I want the left long to go over the cockpit. And then I want the right flat to go back because it makes it easier. That's kind of something that I talk to with the mate. Cause if it's something, now I don't have to do this anymore, thankfully, with the guys about actually feeding the fish or something like that. Then I'll talk to the angler. I'll be like, yo, come up here real quick. And I'll talk to him. But a lot of the times I leave it to the mate when it comes to maneuvering the guy, keeping the guys organized and in sync. And then if it's something that I can see pretty obviously when it comes to feeding a fish, or maybe something about putting your own rigger own line in the pin or something like that, I'll talk to the guys themselves. But thankfully, it's been years since I've had to do that, but there was years where we had to do that. And, it took a while, and we changed some things that we thought worked for some boats, and we kind of progressed and made it work for our boat that, just the way it's set up. Yeah. So I try to work through the mate as much as I can, and then go from there. And then, like I said, if there's something blatantly obvious, like if I have a new angler, I'll just be like, hey, you might want to, hold the rod like this or something like that,
And how many mates do you have?
We were fortunate enough this season to fish with 2 for most of our tournaments. Our regular guy, Kevin Knotts, and then we had another guy, Marshall Frank, who they were both really, really good. And so I think that I think that's pretty much all we need up here dead baiting. If you got a group full of solid anglers up here, I think that's fine for two guys. You know, they don't really hook fish. They're just mainly maintaining the spread, changing out baits, you know, and then in charge of the dredges, pulling down the teasers and maneuvering the rods to get a second bite. And
how long have they been fishing with you?
Kevin's been with us for 3 years. I think this is his second full season. And then Marshall's been fishing with me on and off, fishing with us on and off every time he can for the last couple years. So he kind of fits in as a personality, and I'd love to have him on full time one day. I think that's the dream, because Kevin's had a kid and he's kind of got I think that it would be cool for them to be easy for them to switch roles. That's kind of all of our dream is to have Marshall come on, but we'll see if that'll work out. But yeah, I mean, right now Kevin's the main guy, and then Marshall kind of supplements him. So Kevin's in charge. Like if something breaks off, which we never do, it's on Kevin, not really Marshall, you know?
Yeah.
So I try to let that flow, me, Kevin, and then Marshall, even though Marshall's as capable as any mate we've ever had. It's just because Kevin knows exactly what I want, and Marshall now knows exactly what I want now, that I kind of work that way, you know. And then
you have them two guys, and then how many anglers?
I have the two owners, Bill Keller and Pete Goditis are the owners, are the partners, and then I got my uncle Bill, a guy named Donnie Moore, a guy named Ernie Eckenrode, and my best friend Zach. They're anglers, and we fish. Sometimes we fish a 6 rod spread, and sometimes 6 rod spread, and sometimes we fish a 4, depending on how fishing is, you know. And they're all guys that have been places and really, really have practiced at it. I would say, I think Bill, one of the owners, knows he's kind of the weakest. He's got the least experience, but he's getting better, and he understands. Like, he understood just having a good team is going to put him at a higher level immediately, you know.
And does he, saying now that you say that he knows he's like the weakest link, does he kind of, you know, maybe be a little more patient and stuff with the rods, kind of watching the other guys and like maybe in more big situations maybe, or he's going right into it? Like, no,
he's obviously the owner. So it's like, he's in the team. Like, but
I know.
Yeah. But we don't,
my owner, like,
go ahead.
He knows he's kind of more, you know, not to say he's not a great angler, but he probably knows he's more one of the weaker anglers. Mm-hmm. And, you know, with that being said, you know, sometimes, you know, I feel like he will, you know, I guess take a step back of, you know, where you are in a hairy situation.
Yeah.
Even though I'm saying he has caught the winning fish in a tournament.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, sometimes I think he knows that, like, hey, like, maybe our best guy should be on the rod right now, you know?
Yeah. I think that if in a perfect situation, if he knew that something was going to go, and I got to go back to the boat later and I'll talk to him about it. But if he knew that we were going to be like, have a money fish on, I think that maybe he would be fine, you know, passing up that opportunity to win. But it doesn't happen like that up here. It happens so fast. You raise a fish. He likes to hold the left long. They do a lot of rotating, so they all do build their abilities, but he seems to be most confident on the left long. So if you know, he'd like to hold the left long, I think, if you had a choice. But the way everything is, you know, there's a lot of love and trust in our group, and, you know, we're a group, and we're not like changing it no matter who messes up or what. You know, trust me, they've been riding with me for 9 years now, and, you know, it's been, the last 7 have been really tough, and we just kind of figured it out the last couple of years. So I feel like I've been the weakest link, you know, for a long, long time. But I think that going back to whether it happened so quick, and we would just rather him, you know, just fucking either catch that fish or miss it or whatever happens. You know, we got enough. He's not a bad angler, but like most anglers, most boats he would get on, he'd probably be the better, you know, one of the better anglers. But no, I think that, you know, it's the horse it's one of the people we're riding with, and we ain't going to change it. You know,
of course. So, no, I mean, yeah, not to say anything about any of my guys either.
Yeah, but I would agree with that. That, like, you know, in a perfect situation, if like $1 million white marlin swam up behind, if I said that's 100-pound white marlin on the left teaser, he might be like, you know, I don't think he would shy away from that bite. But if I said, hey, I got 100-pound white marlin coming up, he might be like, yeah, no, somebody you know, but who knows? You can never say.
Yeah,
the sonar is amazing, but it's not that amazing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think for the most part, in a perfect situation, he might want to do that, but I don't want him to personally. I want him to have enough confidence in himself, which he does. Yeah.
I didn't mean to say it like that. I was just,
no. I agree. So, but yeah, cause I'd always, you know, I just see a bunch of guys on the Showtime and it's just like it's like the videos that I see, which are not many, like you guys just have it. It's chaos when you have shit going on, but it's not, you know, it looks like chaos, but you know, I can see from what little I know about kite fishing that everybody knows what they're doing. And, you know, I just wonder where the owner fits in on that, you know, because the owner,
so he works like, let's say, like, just like you said, your guy likes that left long, you know, our guy likes like the left short and the left middle. Just cause, you know, they're, you know, closer to the boat, easier for him to see, you know, whereas like the long baits and just like the longs when you're trolling, I mean, they're not as easy to see. And typically you need somebody that really wants to focus on those baits really, you know, for a long bite, you know?
Yeah.
Especially, you know, when you get bad light, you know, it's tough, especially kite fish. I mean, same as dead baiting, but you know, with the wind and the baits constantly coming out of the water, and it could be a nightmare sometimes.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. Now, I assume you guys just have the spread, and you guys are basically one guy on one rod, basically, if you can.
Yeah, like either you know, one guy on one rod, or you know, maybe you know, one guy on two rods for sure. But no, like it pretty much won't ever be one guy on three rods. You know, like Frankie, who's you know probably our strongest angler, you know, he works the right long and the right middle, and, you know, and kite fishing, which is a little different than trolling, you know, because typically, not all the time, but the right side is the stronger side.
Why is that?
You know, because the sailfish are coming, you know, north to south. So typically the wind is, you know.
Okay. So if you're pointing north,
well, if you're pointing north, it's equal. It really doesn't matter. But when the wind's out of the east, you know, both your kites are basically, you know, going from however, so they're swimming through the right side and then through the left side.
I got you.
So typically I'd say most boats, they put the strongest guy or the two strongest guys on the right side.
Gotcha. Interesting.
And then like when you're setting yourself up, kind of like resetting or getting to a new spot, you know, a captain and the right side kind of like you turn the boat to give the right side wind first to get the right kite going out, get the right side baits going out. And then as you turn, the left side's going out right behind it.
Yeah.
You kind of get like a nice little rhythm going.
Yeah. I mean, that's so important. I think one of the main things, other than being able to manipulate the baits while you're getting bit and get another bite, is just getting reset, whether it be after catching a fish or making a move. You know, I mean, there's so many times where we make a move, and as soon as before we get the whole spread out, we raise a fish, you know, like, and having the guys ready and on it, you know, dredges, everything going over the side. I think that gets lost on people, and the mates being able to maintain everything ready. So when I slow down, it's like, boom, you know.
How often are you making a move like in the tournament?
I mean, some days if I'm happy on a great day, I don't make a move at all. But I mean, I would say on a day of fishing here, I can make anywhere between, you know, 1 to 3 or 4 moves, you know, that
during a tournament.
Yeah. And these aren't like the distance of you getting reset to go on a new drift. This is like, oh fuck, I fucked up. I'm running 10 miles, you know, or something like that. Like it's like really like pick up and steam, not as fast as we can go, but a high cruise and then set out and hopefully not.
Well, how many of those days would you say, you know, last season or this past season for you, would you say where you made a bigger move like that, and then it ended up working out in your favor?
We had the last day of the White Marlin Open. We had taken a big gamble. One of our anglers had gotten a report from somebody that was kind of vague, and it was real. It was real risky thing.
One of those shots in the dark.
Yeah, it wasn't a shot in the dark, but it was kind of like we could be really fucking up here, you know. And we ran up to it was basically about 89 miles behind the Spencer Canyon to this water. And when I got to this report, and when I got there, And this was the end. So the way the White Marlin Open was this year was like there was really kind of two really nice days, or one really nice day the first day, and then the second day was shitty but fishable. So most people went that day, and then there were 2 days where it was pretty much crap, and that nobody fished because it's fish 3 out of 5 for that tournament, and then the last day was flat calm. So we got a report from somebody way up to the north on the last fishing day that anybody fished, and it was like somebody saw 11 white marlins, blue marlin fishing, and I was like, all right, we got to go up. We got to go up there. We got the numbers, and I was like, I'm just going to take a shot, and I feel like I can maybe find this water. Well, we ended up not finding the water, but I ran to this area, fished it for like an hour and a half, and I'm looking at all this bait, but the water was cold and green, and I'm like, man, like I've seen them in this water, but that's in shallow water. I've seen them in green water, never out here in the deep. So I just kind of had a feeling. I looked on the Sirius, and I ran to the southeast and found a little grass edge and a temperature break, and I ran probably 15 miles, and I wasn't like running to something. I was just kind of like looking, and you never want to be looking, in the last day of a tournament. And I wasn't used to being in this scenario where I'm like in it, so I was like really feeling the pressure. And this is something I'd been dreaming. The things I would do to win top boat in the White Marlin Open is just like, something I wanted to do, like always dreamed of doing, So I'm running to the southeast, and I find this little grass edge, and we set out, and I'm like, it's looking better. And I trolled a little bit to the southeast again, and there it is. And, that was a 12 to 15 mile move that I made. And then we wound up, catching 5. I think they were 5 out of 5 or 5 out of 6 that day. And we caught a 106-pound yellowfin. So that was,
that sealed what? The daily and the...
That sealed, well, that tied us for first. We didn't win a daily the whole tournament, but that tied us for first. We lost on time, so we were second, and we were second place tuna. But it was just kind of like I kind of knew where I was going, but I kind of didn't, and I just kind of got lucky. But when we found the right spot, we were in the right spot, and the guys did their thing. They didn't miss a fish. They were, and it was nice and calm, so you could mark a fish.
What were you guys for the tournament in that tournament?
The ratio was, I think the first day, we were 5 for 7, and we saw a blue that day that did the switch. So that was 5 for 7. And then we were 1 for 1 on the second day and saw another blue. And then we were 5 for 6. So we were 11 for 12 or 13. Yeah. Yeah. They were, the guys were amazing. They holding the rod, like this sort of stuff that when I was like younger, and I just like, we would flatline would pop, and everybody was sitting on the mezzanine or something like that. As we wanted to be more competitive, and the guys started fishing in Los Sueños and other places. They saw what these boats were doing, and it's so much more difficult to do that in Ocean City because we just don't have the bites a lot of the time. So it's a lot. What they do they maintain focus so well in the tournaments compared to
we had tournaments last year where we won a tournament with like, I want to say 8 releases, which is that's the worst fishing in the world. I think we caught 3 one day and 5 the next day, and it's a lot, like you said, to ask for your team for focus all day long when you're getting 3 bites.
Yeah. How do the guys maintain a good vibe when fishing's not that good? Or say maybe you're not on, maybe I wouldn't say you get sacked up, because you never get sacked up, but like if say you're not, it's not your day, and like somebody's starting to get away, you're not either in the wrong spot, and you just got to commit to the spot for the rest of the day because you can't make that move or whatever. Like, how do they maintain a good vibe, dude? Like my guys, they're always joking. We have a saying on the boat, is what you do wrong that counts. Like, we just always remember the wrong things, because, we catch a white marlin or you catch a sailfish, and that's like, that's great that you caught that, but then you backlash one real bad. And they kind of keep a good banter going on, and they kind of keep each other high. Do you guys have any way of?
Yeah. No, I mean, we have a thing with Jello shots. So every time we catch a fish, the whole team takes a Jello shot.
Oh, I got you. Jesus Christ. That could be dangerous.
And then I guess sometimes when fishing's really slow, we'll just take a jello shot just to like kind of break the quiet on the boat. But, sometimes they turn the music up, which I'm not typically a huge fan of it because I can't hear and think sometimes. But, I let them do it sometimes just when fishing is slow. So they're, playing music, whatever, and talking shit a lot, which whatever, that's what they do best, talk shit.
Yeah. All right, that's the same way with my guys. They're just down there. All I hear is like giggles and laughing and fucking people. Like then I hear somebody yell and they're just like laughing. I'm like, Jesus Christ! I thought there was one on the teaser or something like that. Yeah. So, but I mean, do you think it just more goes down to I tell mates when they get on the boat, like you guys, like I know because a lot of mates come from charter boats or something like that, and they're used to having to entertain guys, And I'm like, Mike, you guys don't have to do that. My guy, that they're going to entertain themselves. Don't worry. Like just focus on what you're doing. Like I guess a lot of that just has to come down to having the right personalities on the boat, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, because don't get me wrong, we've had even, you could have great people on the boat, but they just, like you said, in those type of situations, they don't have a good attitude and they kind of just bring the morale of the whole team down. And you don't really want that on your team, because then they kind of get in your head and then they're like, oh, well, so-and-so's over there. You should have went that way, It's just like, you're like, oh, well, fuck this guy,
Yeah.
So, but like, no, my guys are, they don't ever do that, but and some of them, even like Kyle, who's a great fisherman, we've got great chemistry with him, and he's got his own little kind of network of guys too. So sometimes I'll call him and not call him, but I'll be like, hey Kyle, why don't you go see where so and so is, so he'll make a phone call, and because I saw I heard this boat caught a couple fish. I'm like, oh, where are they? And he'd tell me, and I'll make a move based off of a report like that, kind of whatever, and a lot of times it works, and that's the thing too, is just with our fishing, sometimes I guess you do sit in an area, but a lot of times, man, you're making moves, like you're kind of just finding the current.
You're looking the right condition. Yeah.
So, even though, don't get me wrong, sometimes, you can catch them in that green water sometimes, but a lot of us like to, we like to fish in the bluer water.
Yeah, hold on. I gotta pick up this phone call real quick. Can you pause it or whatever?
Yeah. Quick break, everyone. We usually don't run ads, but considering it is holiday season, we'll be running sales up to 50% off. So please check out our website at billfishgear.com and also check out our co-host website, hookedoptics.com. Thanks for listening.
So you were saying like, you do find the fish in the green water, and we do up here too. We find fish in green water, but I always try to look for the conditions that I know have been, there's a reason why you look for pretty blue water and the right current or the right amount of bait. I think some people, because there's always like up here, there's always this guy that finds him in shallow, that gets 3 or 4 bites or 6 bites or 10 bites. And then the whole fleet goes there and it just wasn't right. I feel like I've learned over the years, like, man, like I need to be looking for these factors, and that holds true down there too, and what do you do if you like can't find those factors? You keep looking, or what do you do?
Yeah. If you don't find, some days you're just not going to find that pretty blue water, but you try to get where you think, the best looking green water is, or, or has the most current or the most bait, or maybe you saw a free jumper, earlier there that day, or, wherever, but wherever you think you are, or, if it's all that bad and there's no current, maybe you get up on a wreck, try out deep, try out shallow, and just keep moving around until you actually find something,
Yeah, I'm very much the same way. Now, did you learn that from somebody, like, fishing with Ray or all the guys you fish with, like, and seeing other guys do it? Like, I just look at the guys like Johnny Duffy and Bayless and other guys up here that I just watch them, and I'm like, and Ronnie Fields, I'm like, man, the good thing about, dead baiting is you can troll a certain direction or something like that. Sometimes they'll troll and I'll see them searching, and then sometimes they'll pick up and run, and I've learned to do the same, but it's like, did you learn that from, like, it's so much better to fish an hour in the right spot than 2 hours or 6 hours in the wrong spot,
Absolutely. Yeah. No, that definitely has come with me fishing, like you said, Ray, John Louis, Dudas, a couple of times I got to be able to fish with him, and a couple other guys, this guy, Torrey Turney. But, like you said, I mean, even last year, I mean, we were fishing, not in the right, I mean, we were in a decent spot, but there were so many boats that it was kind of just like a luck of who got picked, who got bit there. And, I made a run at the end of the first day. I ran like an hour and a half just to go fish for 30 minutes.
Wow.
Where the guys were catching them. Yeah. And we ended up going there and catching a couple fish, which didn't do much. Well, at the time didn't sound like much, but it ended up, obviously helping out.
It kept you in the game. Was that like on the first day or something like that?
It was on the first day. It kind of like ended the team with a little momentum and
keeps you in the game too.
Exactly. Keeps us in the game.
Like that one day, like the second day of the White Marlin Open this year, like conditions were deteriorating rapidly. The fishing wasn't very good, and we caught one. And I looked around the marina, and everybody was like, "Yeah, we caught one." But I'm looking around the marina, like, yeah, but like the top boats today caught 3. And that was like, to catch one. It's still not. We caught 5 yesterday and we caught 1 today. It's still not over. We're in like 15th place now, but so, and that took a long time for me to fucking figure, to have some maturity.
And honestly, and that's a lot of part of it too. And I'm something like that. I even, I constantly tell myself is, especially on the first day is, obviously you want to go out on the first day and you want to have a great day because then you're like, all right, well, if I could have a good first day, then I could have just a decent second day. But, most importantly, like is you just want to stay in the hunt, and even if, like you said, catching 4 fish the first day and the first 5 boats only have, 10, 9, 8, stuff like that. I mean, being 4 or 5 fish behind, honestly, that's not crazy, and we, especially down here, you could bounce back, from a deficit like that, pretty easily, one triple, you're already, bam, you're right back in the mix, And I'm sure it's the same up there too. I mean, I know obviously not when the fishing's slow, but I'm sure when it gets good, I mean, I'm sure the guys could bounce around quick.
Yeah. And, it's such a big area up here. So like sometimes people just get lucky and they fucking land on the spot. I wouldn't say it's luck, but like somebody kind of just lands on the right spot and they kind of have it to themselves. And, it's just, you got to maintain that consistency. So say you're not the guy that catches 10 and you catch 3, at least, like now I've learned like, oh, we can go and catch 10 tomorrow. I used to get fucking frazzled and be like, oh, I'm not the guy that caught 10 now we suck. And now I'm like, oh, we can turn this around. We've caught enough to be in the hunt, at least give us a chance, And I think just finding that consistency and, when you do get lucky and you get that quad or something, you got to make it count,
Absolutely.
We lost one tournament last summer. I wouldn't say we lost it, but we pretty much lost it. Where we we hooked one and then the lines didn't get manipulated properly and we got some stuff tangled up. And next thing you know, there's 3 or 4 behind the boat and you're like, fuck. And like, at that point, like everything is tangled up and I'm like, all right, fuck it. Wind everything in. Let's just get this one, and set back out. And as we're pulling the outside dredge in, there's like 3 or 4 back behind the boat. They're all swimming around. We just fucked that up completely. And I was like, that was our chance, we basically had a pretty solid average day, which would have gave us a daily and probably would have, knowing what I know now, probably gave us the tournament, but it didn't work out, but that's some things you learn, but I can't remember where we're going with that, but just had, you got to be able to take advantages of those either, when you're getting them over and over again or when fishing slow, when you're like, oh my God, I have the triple, like the only triple of the tournament,
So that's how it goes sometimes, dude. It could be, like you said, one little flurry right there. That could be your whole day and you got to capitalize on, those fish,
Yeah. I learned when I was working on a couple of boats in Los Sueños, that like, you got to like down there fishing's so good. You got to pick and pick and pick. And then when you start getting those couple, like that hour where you start seeing them in numbers, you got to make them count there. Cause that's what separates, the average boats from the really good boats, So it's so interesting how similar it all is, I guess it's all fishing in the end of the day.
But that's like you said, pick. I mean, that's what we kind of always tell ourselves too is, man, just, if you could pick if you could almost catch one fish an hour, obviously it doesn't work like that, but like the way you just break down the math, if you could catch one fish an hour of the tournament, you know, you're going to be at a good position at the end of the day, you know, depending on however that works out. If you caught 3 in 1 hour, but then went a couple hours without catching any, but you know, if you could finish, you know, the day, you know, between 6 and 11 fish for the day, I mean, you're going to be in, you know, a good spot. It might not be the daily, but you're going to be in a good position, you know?
Yeah.
And like you said too, is, you know, even if you start out of it, you know, I think especially me as a younger captain, which when I'd start out of the area, I kind of, it's almost, I don't want to say gave up, but I just got so frustrated and beat myself up that it kind of ruined my momentum where I wouldn't make the aggressive moves to get, you know, back into the mix. Yeah. Whereas now, if I make the wrong move now, I'm like so aggressive now that, you know, I'll make the move wherever I have to go and I'll make it happen, you know, like it's just like, I don't think I'm ever out anymore, which I think a good captain, you just got to have that quality is, you know, even if you don't think you're in the right area, you got to just keep acting it and just keep fishing super hard. Like it's going to happen at any moment, you know? Yeah.
If you're in the wrong area and you know it, you got to just, and you can't make it to the right area, you just got to make the best of it. Yeah. And you got to just basically tell yourself, at least for me, is like, all right, you fucked up. Now we got to deal with this now because we can't make that 2-hour run or something like that, you know? So it's like, I'm the same way, man. I just, you know, my guys have been so great, you know, dealing with me since I was, you know, I started running this boat when I was 23, 24, and I'm 33 now. And it's like, you know, they've been able to see the progression in me, which is nice, but it wasn't, you know, I would have some fucking just straight up meltdowns, bro. Yeah. Like, and then I'm just like, I couldn't, and maybe it's because some of the people that I fished with before, they were high strung, super high pressure, shit goes wrong, there's going to be a meltdown. And I just thought that's how maybe the captain's going to act, because that's how, when you're invested in it, like we are and we should be, that's how you need to, like, that's how you can act. But those were their boats and they could do what they did. But on my program, I had to learn to internalize it a little bit and kind of realize, like, all right, instead of having an outburst and bringing everybody down and really fucking this up, just cool yourself down and figure it out. You know, like, you can figure it out and then go from there, you know, either whether it's make the move or deal with your bad decision, you know, make the best of it. And I think, like, I mean, I didn't realize how much the captain's mentality trickles down to the rest of them. But what do you think about the captain's responsibility in general, you know, and how you need to convey that sort of the vibe to the boat and the confidence, you know? No,
absolutely. I mean, I think that's the one thing, you know, my guys definitely see in me is, you know, I'm never giving up. And, you know, even if there's a couple minutes, you know, left, you know, if I see a fish jump, I'm like punching it over there and we're trying to catch that fish with 30 seconds left, because that one fish, you never know, like, could mean so much, you know. But you said, you as a captain, and even just the captain to, you know, whoever kind of the mate is in charge in the cockpit, you know, I think both of their attitudes say a lot for the rest of the team, because if they keep a good attitude and they're motivated and still focused, I think the rest of the team, you know, is obviously going to feed off of that. Whereas if you have a captain or even the first mate, and they're both kind of losing focus and they're kind of a little more nonchalant about the tournament, I think the rest of their attitude goes down. Maybe they start drinking more. They're taking shots. You know, the music turns up. You know, they're kind of just, oh, well, you know, if we had a shot, it's another tournament. It is what it is. But and it, you know, and you know, as we both know, it. There's a lot of pressure when you're out there fishing a big tournament. And it sucks when you it sucks when you don't do well at all. You know, and sometimes you know, you really beat yourself up, but it's a part of it. And I think if your owner sees that you're trying and you're hustling, whatever, I think they, you know, they appreciate that, you know?
Yeah. I think I just learned the last just the last couple years, it's just like, you know, like I finally accepted the responsibility. You know, I have one owner who's kind of involved, likes to be involved in where we go and stuff like that. And you know, he doesn't like say I need to go somewhere, but he puts his input, which I appreciate, you know. But I don't know what the beginning of last summer, I was just like, you know what, man, I'm the fucking captain, and we're just gonna have to live and die on my decisions. And there's no, I can't blame it on anybody else. It's nobody else's responsibility where we're gonna go and how we're gonna fish. So, you know, and it's like as soon as I did that, I felt like, you know, the guys, and I didn't say that or anything like that. I just started doing that. And I feel like they kind of responded to maybe the vibe that they'd always been looking for, you know? So but it took me a long, long time to get my head out of my ass and figure that out, you know? Yeah. Like, yeah, this is, you know, it's the owner's boat, and I respect that. But when we go fishing, it's kind of on me, and it's nobody else's fault whether we fuck up or not, you know, like we didn't, you know, if you got bad information or the wrong information, is because you didn't do your homework, you know?
Yeah. Do you ever, if you, let's say like you guys are out there and you guys are thinking about making a move, do you ever like go like ask like, just like say down like, hey guys, we could go here or here?
Yeah. Every once in a while, I'll ask Pete, the other owner, I'll be like, hey, man, so-and-so's this far away, and, you know, it's going to be a big run, and he'll give me his 2 cents. And a lot of times he's like, go with your gut. But, you know, I don't know. Sometimes sometimes I'll be like, guys, like a lot of times they'll just be like, yeah, just go, you know, but sometimes I'll be like, you know, like so-and-so's over here. And there's a lot more during fun fishing days, is there really a fun fishing day? I don't know. But like, like I'll just be like, hey, they'll be like, you know, you're the captain. Yeah. Sometime late, like last couple of years, they've just been like, you're the captain. Why are you even fucking asking us? You know, but I like to keep them in tune with what's going on. You know, I'll be like, oh, so, cause I don't know if I can't hear or whatever it is, but I play the VHF is loud enough that people can hear, you know, the guys downstairs can hear, you know, so-and-so calling a fish, and they'll be like, where's he? And they'll be like, oh, he's right there. You guys haven't seen him, or he's like 10 miles, you know? And if they, you know, I let them know what's going on, you know, but I don't, if it's a crapshoot, I'll be like, where do you guys want to go? You know? If it's like, there's 6 bites here and 6 bites there, sometimes I'll be like, I don't know, we can go wherever and make the best of it. Yeah. So what about you?
Like this, sometimes they like, if fishing is really slow and there's 2 areas where, you know, I think that we could probably catch a couple fish, you know, here or there. I'll you know, holler down to the guys, and just to get them a little more involved, I'll be like, hey guys, you know, so-and-so's over here. We could go fish next to them for a little bit, or so-and-so's over there. You know, they caught 3 fish in the last hour. We could go sit next to them and see what happens, you know? And
yeah.
And, you know, sometimes they will say, let's go there. Or sometimes, like you said, they'll just be like, you make the call, you know?
Yeah. I don't think that they, though, like from what I've seen is like, they don't want, like they appreciate being kept in the loop, but I don't think that they're really like, and I think that's the main reason why I do it, to just be like, you know, try to keep the guys in the loop. But it doesn't seem like the vibe I get that we're like, oh, you need to go here. You know, it seems like anymore, I think they've been waiting long enough for me to just make the fucking decision. And now that when I ask, they're like, dude, just do it, you know?
Yeah, so, absolutely.
I don't know. I mean, it's nice for the people downstairs to have confidence in you, but you got to earn that, I think, you know?
Yeah. And do you think a lot of the teams, like some of the good teams up there, a lot of those guys, it's good chemistry. They've been fishing together for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, the Billfish are like, there's either good boats that, you know, every once in a while there'll be a boat that comes like and just has, you know, a bunch of hired guns. Cause here you can hook in hand and stuff like that. And you can kind of stack the deck a little bit more if you want. I honestly, like if you try that, or, you know, I still don't think it works as well, but sometimes there'll be a boat, like a new boat that comes and does the tournaments or something. They'll have a really quality captain and some good guys, and that's one way to do it up here. But like, I think that having a solid team, like the boat that I like, always have to, like, I'm trying to, I don't know, I don't want to say take down, but I'm just trying to be on their level as the Billfisher and their family. They don't even get to choose if they're funny. They're like, we don't even get to choose to fish with each other. We have to, because we're family, you know? But I mean, they're, you know, they're a group that's been fishing together for, you know, couple decades now. Like, I mean, they have a professional captain and mate, but they've been together so long now that they kind of do it. And I think that the boats that are doing well, like the Viking boat, they have a group of anglers and then they have their mates,
The Viking boat, is that Ryan Higgins?
No, that's Sean Dooley.
Oh, okay, Sean Dooley.
Sean Dooley. He's a good buddy of mine, and he just got the job. This is his first season. It was Ryan Higgins all up until 2 years ago, and I think Scotty ran it for one season. Now it's Sean, and he's a good friend of mine. But they got a group, and they're highly competitive. The Crazy Salts too, Keith.
Yep.
On the Crazy Salts. I mean, they have the same group. I mean, it's not up here. It's kind of a group of boats that kind of like down there. They're not all based out of Ocean City. That you got the guys on the Mama Sea. They get it fucking done. Yeah,
I fished with them this summer. I got to fish with them this summer.
Oh yeah, in Virginia Beach. No,
down in the Bahamas. They came down to the Bahamas for a little bit. I rode with them a couple of days. That was cool.
Yeah. I know Rob a little bit, and I mean, they do it very well. They last season, it was them and the Wave. The season before last, them and the Wave Paver pretty much walked away with just about everything. Those guys on the Wave Paver that's just
machine.
Another level there, dude.
It's just the whole operation is sick. I mean,
I just remember I was like, they were doing the St. Thomas thing up until COVID, right? And they'd come up here years ago on their Garlington and did very, very well,
Yeah.
And then they came up here on the Bayless, and it was like they'd never left. They were just, and I'm like, man, it's taken me all my life to figure it out here. You guys just come for a couple months.
Dude, everywhere they go, they crush, man. They got
they're. I mean, I know them as a little bit, and they have a great owner who's committed, but he's committed, but he also lets the crew do their job, And I sometimes see, guys that are owners they're super committed and they want to do well, but they can't get out of their own way, and they won't get out of their crew's way, and in some aspects, I think it's on the crew to earn that. And on the other aspects, the owner's got to be committed, but also realize even though you're really good at making millions of dollars doing what you do, you got to let people do their job,
Yeah. No, they're definitely one of the top boats in every tournament series they fish.
And
man.
Anywhere they go,
anywhere they go, man, they are
crazy.
It's impressive, man. It's neat to watch those guys.
So going back to the tournament team and talking about owners from just the ownership aspect of it, there's a level of commitment that we're just starting to understand on my boat, but you got to be out there doing it. And if you want to expect to do well, now if you don't, and a lot of people don't fish these tournaments just to have a good time, and that's great. And if they win, they win. If not, they're not. But if you're really into it, it takes an insane amount of financial commitment and the time too.
Yeah, you have to, like you said, you have to do it right, and you have to go out there, put the time out there and fish and be on the water and, see what's going on. I mean, going out there one day before a tournament, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you can't win like that. I mean, guys do win like that, but I mean, when you're out there more and your bosses, even if, I think a good operation, the boss is like, hey, I can't make it, go out there and fish, go out there and cause that's what I think a good owner that wants to win, wants to do. But I think you have some owners where like, oh, if I'm not on the boat, you can't go they And then they expect, if that's the case, then the expectation can't be to really want to compete, and you just got to be aware of that. And like you said, every owner and operation's different, it's not all of them are as hardcore as that, but you got to be aware of, who you're competing against. And if you're going to get back, and this is the one thing that we used to do, we'd be bummed out after a tournament when we get back to the dock and we get sacked up. And if you're going to be like that or have that sort of feeling at the end of the day, then you got to realize it takes a certain level of commitment and only it doesn't just happen because I remember when I was first running the boat, they're like, what do those guys do? And I'm like, I don't know what the captain does, but I know they go fishing a lot, I was like, there was a time when it was just a mystery. I'd see Ryan Higgins and John Duffy and other guys and they'd just be getting bites around me and they'd be like, what the fuck? Yeah.
And now, just comes from experience and time on the water,
Okay, absolutely.
And it's not a secret, but it kind of is because, a lot of people don't do it. So
Yeah, trust me. Yeah, growing up, you watch some people and it's like they're always getting bit. You're like,
it's like they're fucking magicians, And, there are some guys that are just fucking magicians and you're just like, I don't know how he just did that, but like for the most part, like you can get out there and figure it out. Then hopefully, you get a little luck, but I think it's just a level of commitment. And I think sometimes crews don't understand that, especially just starting out, because you're like, all right, I spent all this money. I got this hotshot guy or, to run my boat and a couple hotshot mates. And you're like, all right, now we're going to go win everything. And it's like, no, it don't work.
Doesn't work like that. Yeah, not at all.
So I don't know, man. I think I feel like I'm talking like I've done it for more than a season, but I feel like we've kind of unlocked something here on the blood money. So I'm hoping to keep it going. But I don't know. Seeing what you do is an inspiration. I think it's incredible to just maintain that consistency.
Yeah, man.
How do you? I mean, you're still fired up to go fish those tournaments, no matter what, right? I mean, you have to be.
Yeah. I mean, any tournament really, but sailfish season and now I'm really, really excited now that I've been fishing more now I'm running a boat and like the skips tournaments in the Bahamas and stuff. And, those tournaments, not saying I'll always be super just hungry for the sailfish tournaments, but now I'm just extremely hungry for the skips tournaments in the Bahamas. And, I grew up going to the Bahamas and now kind of just testing my ability against some of the best deadbait guys like Wave Paper and these guys. So now it's really like, all right, I'm pretty
kind of
dialed in.
Over.
I'm dialed in with the sail fishing, but now it's just like, all right, how good can I be? Can I still be able to compete with these guys? So it's new challenges, which I love. It's because I think great fishermen are good at different types of fishing too. I don't think you could just be great at one thing and you're the greatest. It's even not even just bill fishing. I think being able to go out there and put your boss on tunas and wahoo or bottom fish, I think it's important,
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of guys out there, and I'm sure that they can't do it. Like, if their boss is like, "Hey, let's go drop for a swordfish," midday.
I'm 100% one of those guys.
Yeah, like there's guys that can't. They'll be scratching their head, like, "Oh, well, get an LP and put a squid on it," or And I think those are just a different breed of guys that can do all those things,
Yeah. I'm bringing one of my key swordfish gurus tomorrow fishing with us because I know how to do it, but I ain't gonna I don't know how to do it. Like I know how to rig it all and drop it, and I kind of know where we need to be dropping here, but it's just like when he says we get a bite, I'm like, you're lying.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I agree with that, man. Like takes to be a good fisherman, you gotta take what from other start to fishing and take it into other stuff.
Like Russell on the wave paver. I mean, that guy's a commercial fisherman, he's like a badass, mackerel and all the other shitty kingfish and everything he kills. And I can promise you he's not just okay at that. I can promise you he's probably the best commercial fisherman in Florida, and that just not saying, but it just, I think it all relates, it's just
100%, dude. Yeah. I think I agree. I mean, we talk about just this conversation today, like, we do two different styles of fishing in two entirely different places, but when we talk to each other about it, it's like we're talking about the same thing, I think it's pretty interesting. So pretty cool, dude.
Yeah, bro. This was fun.
Yeah, I think we made the best of it. We'll see.
Yeah, hopefully the people like it.
Yeah, I think we could do more of these like this, but I don't know what subject we could just talk about. Well, that's kind of narcissistic for us to just talk about what we do all the time. So.
Yeah, hopefully maybe we'll get some Q&As for the next one or something.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I think it's cool, talking to another young guy. Cause like I said, there's not a lot of young guys up here. And honestly, like talking to another young guy that's in a different fishery altogether is kind of cool too. Cause I love the competitiveness that goes on in Miami. I think is so cool. I don't know where I would even start if I had to do that, but I just think it's cool. You got to bring it every day out there in those tournaments, and it ain't luck winning those things like some of the tournaments up here.
Well, yeah, this year you got to come down.
I got to figure out when, but I would love to, man. Thank you.
I'll give you some dates.
Cool.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. Thanks for listening. If you have any questions, email them at podcast@billfish.site. Thanks, guys.